I found the birth certificate by accident. I was looking for my passport in Grandma Dorothy's desk drawer when I came across a sealed envelope tucked beneath old tax documents. The envelope was yellowed with age, addressed to no one, sealed but not securely. Something made me open it. Inside was a birth certificate. Mine. But the details were all wrong. Mother's name, Patricia Henderson. Father's name, unknown. My name, Sonia Henderson. I stared at the document, confused. My name was Sonia Williams. Grandma Dorothy Williams had raised me since I was a baby. She'd always told me my parents died in a car accident when I was 6 months old. But this certificate said my mother's name was Patricia Henderson, not Williams. And my father was listed as unknown. Sonia? What are you doing in my desk? Grandma Dorothy's voice made me jump. She stood in the doorway, her face pale as she saw what I was holding. What is this? I asked, holding up the certificate. Why does it say my mother's name is Patricia Henderson? You said my mother was Rebecca Williams. You said she died with my father in a car accident. Grandma Dorothy's face crumpled. She sank into a chair, suddenly looking much older than her 68 years. I knew this day would come, she whispered. I'd hoped it wouldn't be until I was gone, but I knew. What day? Grandma, what are you talking about? She took a shaky breath. Sit down, Sonia. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you years ago. My heart pounded as I sat. Rebecca Williams was not your mother, Grandma Dorothy said quietly. Patricia Henderson is. And I'm not actually your grandmother. The words didn't make sense. What do you mean you're not my grandmother? I mean I'm not related to you by blood. I'm not your father's mother. Your father wasn't my son. My world tilted. Then who are you? Why have you been raising me? Grandma Dorothy's eyes filled with tears. I'm Dorothy Williams, yes. But I was Patricia Henderson's neighbor 25 years ago. When you were born, Patricia couldn't keep you. She asked me to raise you as my own. I agreed because I couldn't have children of my own, and you needed a home. Why couldn't my mother keep me? I demanded. Who is Patricia Henderson? Where is she now? Grandma Dorothy, though I didn't know what to call her anymore, wiped her eyes. Patricia Henderson was a young woman, 23 years old when she got pregnant with you. She was married to a man named Thomas Henderson. But you weren't Thomas's child. The story began to unfold like a nightmare. Patricia had been having an affair with her husband's business partner, a man named Marcus Cole. When she discovered she was pregnant, she didn't know which man was the father. But when you were born, one look at you made it clear. You had Marcus's distinctive green eyes and his dark curly hair, Dorothy explained. There was no way Thomas would believe you were his. Patricia panicked. She couldn't let Thomas find out about the affair. Her marriage would be over, her reputation ruined. So she gave me away? I asked, my voice hollow. She made a choice, Dorothy said carefully. She chose her marriage over you. She asked me to take you to raise you far from where she lived. She told Thomas she'd had a miscarriage. He never knew you existed. I felt sick. My mother had chosen to pretend I'd never been born rather than face the consequences of her affair. What about Marcus Cole? My biological father? Does he know about me? Dorothy shook her head. Patricia never told him. She disappeared from both men's lives, moved away with Thomas and started over. As far as I know, Marcus never knew he had a daughter. I stood up, pacing the small living room. Everything I believed about myself was a lie. Why did you agree to this? Why take someone else's baby and raise her as your own? Because I desperately wanted a child, Dorothy admitted. My husband and I had tried for years with no success. He died 2 years before Patricia came to me with you. I was alone, grieving, and here was this perfect baby who needed a mother. It seemed like fate. It was a lie, I said bitterly. You've lied to me my entire life. I gave you a home and love, Dorothy said, her voice breaking. I raised you as my own. Everything I did because I loved you. But you're not my grandmother. You're not family. You're just some woman who took me in. The words were cruel, but I couldn't stop them. I needed to hurt someone the way I was hurting. Dorothy flinched but didn't argue. What's my real mother's name now? Where does she live? I don't know, Dorothy said. After she gave you to me, we lost touch. She wanted a clean break. I haven't heard from her in 25 years. You must know something. A city? A last name if she remarried. Dorothy hesitated. Last I heard, she divorced Thomas Henderson and remarried someone wealthy. But Sonia, she doesn't want to be found. She made that very clear. I don't care what she wants, I said. She's my mother. I have a right to know who she is. Over the next few weeks, I became obsessed with finding Patricia Henderson. I searched online, combed through public records, joined genealogy websites. Dorothy gave me what little information she had. Patricia's age, her hometown, the year I was born. It was enough to start with. I found a marriage record from 26 years ago. Patricia Henderson to Thomas Henderson in Columbus, Ohio. Then a divorce record from 23 years ago. After that, the trail went cold for a while. Then I found it. A marriage announcement from 21 years ago. Patricia Henderson married Malcolm Prescott, heir to the Prescott media empire. The wedding had been featured in society magazines. I found photos online. Patricia was beautiful, elegant, smiling beside her wealthy new husband. There was no mention of a previous marriage or a child she'd given away. She'd erased that part of her life completely. Malcolm Prescott. The name sounded familiar. I googled Prescott Media and my stomach dropped. They own newspapers, television stations, and digital media companies across the country, including the company where I worked. I was a junior marketing associate at Prescott Digital Solutions, a subsidiary of Prescott Media. My mother's husband owned the company where I worked. The irony was almost funny. Almost. I dug deeper into Patricia's current life. She went by Patricia Prescott now. She was heavily involved in charity work, sat on the boards of several foundations, attended society events. She had 2 children with Malcolm, a daughter Victoria who was 19 and a son James who was 17. Half-siblings I'd never met. Patricia's life looked perfect. Wealthy, successful, respected. And I was a secret she'd buried 25 years ago. I found her social media accounts, though they were carefully curated and mostly private. The public photos showed a life of luxury. Vacation homes, charity galas, family photos with her husband and 2 children. There was no space in that perfect life for the daughter she'd abandoned. I needed to see her in person. I needed to confront the woman who'd given me away like I was nothing. But how? I couldn't just show up at her mansion. Security would turn me away. Then I remembered, she was married to the owner of my company, which meant she probably attended company events. I asked around at work casually, "Does Mrs. Prescott ever come to the office?" My supervisor, Helena, nodded. "Oh yes, Patricia comes to most of the major events. Company parties, charity fundraisers we host. She's very involved." "Why?" "Just curious," I said. "I've heard she does a lot of charity work." "She does," Helena confirmed. "There's actually a fundraiser gala next month that Prescott Media is hosting. All employees are invited. Mrs. Prescott will definitely be there." I requested a ticket to the gala. It was formal, expensive, and I'd have to buy a dress I couldn't afford. But I didn't care. This was my chance to see my mother face to face. The month passed in a blur of anticipation and anxiety. I bought a simple black dress from a discount store and borrowed jewelry from a coworker. I practiced what I'd say to Patricia 1,000 times. But when the night of the gala arrived, I had no idea what would actually come out of my mouth when I saw her. The event was held at a luxury hotel downtown. I felt out of place among the well-dressed executives and their spouses. Everyone looked wealthy and comfortable in a way I'd never experienced. Then I saw her. Patricia Prescott stood near the center of the room, wearing a stunning emerald gown that probably cost more than my annual salary. She was 58 years old but looked a decade younger, her blonde hair styled perfectly, her makeup flawless. She laughed at something her husband said, one hand resting on his arm in a gesture of easy intimacy. This was my mother, the woman who'd given birth to me and immediately given me away. I moved closer, weaving through the crowd until I was standing just a few feet from her. Up close I could see the resemblance. We had the same nose, the same jawline. But her eyes were blue, while mine were green, Marcus Cole's eyes, according to Dorothy. "Excuse me, Mrs. Prescott?" I said, my voice barely steady. Patricia turned, her polite smile in place. "Yes." My name is Sonia Williams. I work in marketing at Prescott Digital Solutions. I paused. But my birth name was Sonia Henderson. I watched her face carefully. For just a moment, barely a second, I saw recognition flash in her eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by polite confusion. I'm sorry, dear, I don't think we've met before. Are you enjoying the gala? She was going to pretend she didn't know me. She was going to look me in the eyes and pretend I was a stranger. I think you know who I am, I said quietly. I'm 25 years old. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. You gave me to a woman named Dorothy Williams when I was 6 months old. Patricia's smile froze. Her hand tightened on her champagne glass. I'm afraid you're mistaken, she said, her voice cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do, I insisted. You're Patricia Henderson. You had an affair with Marcus Cole while married to Thomas Henderson. I'm your daughter. People nearby were starting to glance our way. Patricia's husband, Malcolm, noticed something was wrong and moved closer. Is everything all right, darling? He asked. Patricia's face was pale but composed. This young woman seems to be confused about something. Would you excuse us for a moment? She took my arm, her grip surprisingly strong, and guided me away from the crowd toward a quiet hallway. Once we were alone, her polite mask dropped. What do you think you're doing? She hissed. Coming here, saying those things where people could hear? I'm trying to talk to my mother, I said. I'm not your mother, Patricia said sharply. I gave birth to you, yes, but that doesn't make me your mother. Dorothy Williams raised you. She's your mother. Dorothy told me the truth, I said. About the affair, about how you gave me away to hide your secret. About how you chose your marriage over your own child. Patricia's jaw tightened. I made a choice 25 years ago. A choice that protected everyone involved. Protected you mean, I corrected. You protected your reputation and your marriage. You didn't protect me. You were taken care of, Patricia said. Dorothy gave you a good home. You wanted for nothing. I wanted a mother. My voice rose. I grew up thinking I was an orphan, that my parents died in a car accident. Do you know what that's like? Growing up believing you're alone in the world. Better than growing up knowing your mother didn't want you, Patricia said coldly. The words hit like a slap. Is that how you really feel? I whispered. That you didn't want me? Patricia's expression softened slightly, but her voice remained firm. I was 23 years old, trapped in a failing marriage, pregnant with my lover's child. I couldn't keep you without destroying everything. I made the best choice I could under impossible circumstances. The best choice for you, I said. Not for me. What do you want, Sonia? Money. Is that why you're here? The accusation stung. I don't want your money. I wanted to meet you. To understand why you gave me away. To see if there was any chance. I stopped, not wanting to admit how desperately I'd hoped she might want a relationship with me. There's no chance, Patricia said, reading my thoughts. I have a husband who knows nothing about you. I have 2 children who don't know they have a half-sister. I've built a life that doesn't include you, and I need it to stay that way. So you're just going to pretend I don't exist? Again. I'm going to ask you to respect my privacy, Patricia said. And my family's privacy. Please don't contact me again. Don't come to events where I'll be. Don't try to insert yourself into my life. I work at your husband's company, I pointed out. I can't avoid you completely. Patricia's eyes hardened. Then perhaps you should consider finding employment elsewhere. The threat was clear. If I didn't disappear from her life voluntarily, she'd make sure I lost my job. You can't do that, I said. I'm a good employee. You can't fire me just because. I can't, Patricia agreed. But Malcolm can. And if I tell him there's an employee who's been making uncomfortable advances toward me, who's been harassing me with strange claims about being my daughter from some imaginary affair, well, he'll want to protect his wife. I stared at her, shocked. You'd lie about me? Accuse me of harassment? I'd do what I need to do to protect my family, Patricia said. Just like I did 25 years ago. Go back to your life, Sonia. Forget you found me. It's better for everyone. She turned and walked back toward the gala, leaving me standing alone in the hallway. I felt numb. My mother, my biological mother, had just threatened to destroy my career if I didn't disappear from her life. I left the gala without saying goodbye to anyone. I drove home to the small apartment I shared with a roommate and sat in the darkness, trying to process what had happened. Dorothy called the next morning. "How did it go?" she asked. "Did you find her?" I told her everything. About Patricia's current life, about the confrontation at the gala, about the threats. "Oh, Sonia," Dorothy said sadly. "I'm so sorry. I wish I could say I'm surprised. But Patricia made it clear from the beginning that she wanted nothing to do with you. That's why she gave you to me." "Did you know she'd married into money?" I asked. "Did you know she had other children?" "I suspected she'd remarried, but I didn't know details. We truly lost touch after she gave you to me." Dorothy paused. "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know," I admitted. "She basically told me to stay away from her or she'd have me fired." "Maybe you should listen," Dorothy said gently. "I know it hurts, but Patricia has made her choice. You can't force her to acknowledge you." But I couldn't let it go. Over the next few weeks, I became obsessed with Patricia's life. I followed her social media, attended company events hoping to see her, drove past her mansion in the wealthy suburb where she lived. I told myself I just wanted to understand her, to see the life she'd chosen over me. But really, I was torturing myself. I watched her Instagram stories showing family dinners, charity events, moments with her other children. The daughter and son she'd kept. The ones she wasn't ashamed of. One evening, I was scrolling through her Facebook when I saw an event posting. Patricia was hosting a charity luncheon at her home for the Children's Hospital Foundation. The event was in 2 days. An idea formed, reckless and probably stupid, but I couldn't stop myself. I called the Children's Hospital Foundation pretending to be interested in attending the luncheon. "I'm so sorry," the coordinator said. "But the event is private, invitation only. However, if you're interested in supporting children's health, we have several upcoming public events." "Actually, I'm a colleague of Mrs. Prescott's." I lied. "I work at Prescott Digital Solutions." She mentioned the luncheon and I expressed interest. "I think there may have been a miscommunication about my invitation." There was a pause. "Let me check the list." "What did you say your name was?" "Sonia Williams." Another pause. "I don't see you on the list, but if Mrs. Prescott invited you personally, there may have been an oversight. Let me add you. We'd be delighted to have you." 2 days later, I arrived at Patricia's mansion. It was even more impressive in person. A sprawling estate with manicured gardens and a circular driveway filled with expensive cars. I felt completely out of place in my modest dress and borrowed shoes. A valet took my car keys. A hostess directed me to the back garden where the luncheon was being held. About 50 women sat at elegantly decorated tables, all dressed in designer clothes, discussing charity work and society gossip. Patricia stood at the front welcoming guests. When she saw me, her face went white. She excused herself from the woman she was talking to and walked over quickly. "What are you doing here?" she asked through gritted teeth, maintaining a smile for the other guests. "I came to support children's health," I said innocently. "Isn't that what this is about? You need to leave. Now." "But I'm on the guest list." The foundation added me when I mentioned I was your colleague. Patricia's eyes flashed with anger. "You manipulated your way into my home. Do you understand how inappropriate that is?" "I just wanted to see where you live," I said. "To see the life you chose instead of me." "This is harassment, Sonia. I could call the police." "For attending a charity event I was invited to?" I asked. "That seems like it would create quite a scene. All these society women watching you have your daughter arrested. I'm sure they'd love to hear that story." Patricia's jaw clenched. She grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the garden, into the house through a side door. We ended up in what looked like a study, dark wood paneling, leather chairs, walls lined with books. "You can't be here," Patricia said. "My husband could come home at any time. My children could see you." "Your other children, you mean," I said. "The ones you actually kept." "Sonia, please." Patricia's voice broke slightly. "I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But you have to understand, I can't acknowledge you. Not now. Not ever." "Why not?" I demanded. "Because it would reveal that you had an affair? That you gave away a baby?" "So what?" You're rich enough that scandal won't ruin you. It's not about money, Patricia said. It's about my family. Malcolm doesn't know about you. If he found out I'd hidden a child from him for 20 years of marriage, it would destroy us. Victoria and James would be devastated to learn they have a sister I gave away. It would shatter their view of me. Good, I said bitterly. Maybe they should know who you really are. I am a good mother to them, Patricia said desperately. I learned from my mistakes. I was young and stupid when I had you. I made terrible choices. But I've been a good mother to Victoria and James. Don't take that away from them. You took my mother away from me, I pointed out. Why do they deserve better? Patricia sank into one of the leather chairs. Because I'm different now. Because I was 23 and terrified then, and I'm 58 and wiser now. Because they didn't ask to be born into this complicated situation, any more than you did. I felt my anger deflating slightly. Patricia looked genuinely distressed, and for the first time, I saw her as a real person rather than just the mother who'd abandoned me. What about my biological father? I asked. Marcus Cole. Does he know I exist? Patricia shook her head. I never told him. After I found out I was pregnant, I cut off contact with him. He tried to reach out a few times, but I didn't respond. Eventually, he gave up. Where is he now? I don't know. We lost touch 25 years ago. He could be anywhere. I sat down across from her. Do you ever think about me? About what happened? Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Yes, she finally said. More than you'd believe. Especially when Victoria was born. I held her and thought about how I'd given you away at the same age. It haunted me. But not enough to find me. Not enough to reach out. I thought it would be cruel to disrupt your life after so many years. You had Dorothy. You had stability. What good would it do to show up and confess I was your mother? It would have given me the truth, I said. It would have let me know I wasn't an orphan. That somewhere my mother was alive and thinking about me. Tears slid down Patricia's cheeks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it. For the affair, for giving you away, for building a life that didn't include you. But I can't change the past. I can only ask you to please leave my present alone. Before I could respond, we heard voices in the hallway. Patricia's face went pale. That's Malcolm, she whispered. And the children. They weren't supposed to be home. The study door opened and a distinguished man in his 60s walked in, followed by a teenage girl and boy, Victoria and James. They all stopped when they saw us. Patricia? I didn't know you had a guest, Malcolm said. He looked at me with polite curiosity. Is everything all right with the luncheon? Patricia stood quickly, composing herself. Everything's fine. This is Sonia Williams. She works at Prescott Digital Solutions. I was just showing her your impressive book collection. Malcolm smiled warmly. Ah, an employee. Wonderful. Are you enjoying working for us? I looked at Patricia, who was silently pleading with me not to say anything. I looked at Victoria and James, my half-siblings, who had no idea who I was. I could tell them right now. I could reveal everything and watch Patricia's perfect world crumble. Yes, sir, I said instead. It's a great company. Sonia was just leaving, Patricia said quickly. Let me walk you out. She practically pushed me toward the door. In the front hallway, away from her family, she stopped. Thank you, she said quietly, for not saying anything. I didn't do it for you, I said. I did it because Victoria and James looked happy. I didn't want to ruin that. Patricia nodded. Can I ask one thing? Please don't come here again. Please don't try to contact me. I know I don't deserve to ask anything of you, but I'm begging you, let me go. Let you go. I repeated. You let me go 25 years ago. I'm the one who needs to figure out how to let you go now. I left before Patricia could respond. I drove away from the mansion, away from the mother who didn't want me, and tried to figure out what to do next. Over the following weeks, I tried to move on. I focused on my job, spent time with friends, tried to rebuild my relationship with Dorothy, who I'd been cold to since discovering the truth. I'm sorry for what I said. I told her over dinner one evening. About you not being my real family. You raised me. You loved me. That makes you more real than Patricia ever was. Dorothy smiled sadly. I understand why you were angry. I should have told you the truth years ago. Why didn't you? I asked. Dorothy sighed. I was selfish. I was afraid that if you knew the truth, you'd hate me for not being your real grandmother. I was afraid you'd leave and I'd lose the only family I've ever had. I'm not leaving, I said, reaching across the table to hold her hand. You're my grandma, Dorothy. Blood or not, you're my family. But even as I said it, I couldn't stop thinking about Patricia. About my half-siblings. About the biological father I'd never met. I hired a private investigator to find Marcus Cole. It took 3 weeks, but the investigator tracked him down. Marcus Cole, now 59 years old, living in Denver, Colorado. He'd never married, had no other children as far as the investigator could determine. He worked as an architect and lived a quiet, unremarkable life. I stared at his address for days, trying to decide what to do. Would he want to know about me? Would he be angry that Patricia had kept me secret? Would he even believe me? Finally, I wrote a letter. Dear Mr. Cole, my name is Sonia Williams. I'm 25 years old, and I have reason to believe you're my biological father. 26 years ago, you had a relationship with a woman named Patricia Henderson. She became pregnant but never told you about the child. That child was me. I explained everything, how Patricia had given me to Dorothy, how I'd only recently discovered the truth, how I tried to connect with Patricia but she'd rejected me. I'm not asking for anything, I concluded. I just wanted you to know I exist. If you'd like to meet me or talk, I'd welcome that. If not, I understand. This must be shocking news. Whatever you decide, I hope you're well. Sincerely, Sonia Williams. I mailed the letter and waited. 2 weeks passed with no response. I began to think Marcus had decided to ignore me just like Patricia had. Then I received a phone call from an unknown number. Sonia Williams? A man's voice asked. Yes. This is Marcus Cole. I got your letter. My heart raced. Mr. Cole. Thank you for calling. Call me Marcus, please. His voice was warm, cautious. I have to admit, your letter was quite a shock. But I'd like to talk to you. Would you be willing to meet? We arranged to meet at a coffee shop the following Saturday. Marcus was flying in from Denver specifically for this meeting. When Saturday came, I arrived early, nervous and unsure what to expect. Marcus walked in at exactly the appointed time. I recognized him immediately, tall with dark curly hair going gray at the temples, and distinctive green eyes. The same green eyes I saw in the mirror every day. He saw me and smiled. You have my eyes, he said as he sat down. I know, I replied. Patricia said that's how she knew. That's why she gave me away instead of letting her husband believe I was his. Marcus's expression darkened. She never told me she was pregnant. If I'd known, would you have wanted me? I asked. Without hesitation, Marcus said firmly. Patricia and our relationship was complicated. She was married, I knew that. But we loved each other, or at least I thought we did. When she suddenly cut off all contact, I was devastated. I had no idea she was pregnant. She said you were her husband's business partner. I said. That's how you met. Marcus nodded. Thomas Henderson and I ran a consulting firm together. Patricia was his wife. The affair was wrong, I know that. But it happened. And then she just disappeared from my life. Thomas and I dissolved the partnership shortly after. He never knew why. Over coffee, Marcus told me his side of the story. How he'd tried repeatedly to contact Patricia after she cut him off. How he'd eventually given up, assuming she'd decided to stay with her husband. How he'd never married or had children because part of him had never gotten over Patricia. I thought about her for years, Marcus admitted. Wondered what might have been if circumstances had been different. But I never imagined. He looked at me with wonder and sadness. I never imagined I had a daughter out there somewhere. Do you want to be part of my life now? I asked. Or is this just closure for you? Marcus reached across the table and took my hand. Sonia, I've missed 25 years of your life. If you're willing to give me a chance, I'd like to be part of your future. Not to replace Dorothy. She raised you and earned the title of your family. But maybe as a friend? A father figure? Whatever you're comfortable with. Tears streamed down my face. I'd like that. I'd really like that. Over the next few months, Marcus and I built a relationship. He flew in from Denver every few weeks. We had dinners, went to museums, talked for hours about our lives and interests. He told me stories about my biological family. His parents had passed away, but he had siblings who'd be thrilled to meet me. I told him about growing up with Dorothy, about my job, about my life. And I told him about Patricia's rejection. I reached out to her, I explained. But she wants nothing to do with me. She has a new family and I don't fit into that picture. Marcus's jaw tightened. That's Patricia. Always protecting her image over everything else. I'm sorry she hurt you that way. At least I have you, I said. And Dorothy. That's more than I had before. 6 months after meeting Marcus, I was at work when I received an unexpected email. It was from Victoria Prescott, Patricia's daughter. My half-sister. Dear Sonia, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I found your work email through the company directory. I need to talk to you about something important. Can we meet? Please don't tell my mother. Victoria. I stared at the email, my heart pounding. How did Victoria know about me? What did she want? I responded. I'm willing to meet. When and where? Victoria suggested a cafe across town, far from anywhere her mother might see us. We agreed to meet the next day after work. When I arrived, Victoria was already there. She was 19, beautiful in the way Patricia was beautiful, but with a softer expression. She stood when she saw me. Sonia? Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would. How do you know who I am? I asked, sitting down. Victoria took a deep breath. I overheard my mother on the phone last week. She was talking to someone, I don't know who, about you. She was upset, saying you'd shown up at the house, that you were claiming to be her daughter from before she married my father. I am her daughter, I said. I know, Victoria said. I did some research. I found your birth certificate online through public records. Patricia Henderson is listed as your mother. The dates match up. You're my half-sister, aren't you? I nodded. Yes. Patricia had an affair while married to her first husband. I was the result. She gave me away rather than face the consequences. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I can't believe she did that. I can't believe she gave you away and just moved on with her life. She built a new life, I corrected. With you and James and your father. A life that doesn't include me. That's not fair, Victoria said. You're her daughter too. You're my sister. James and I have a right to know you. Your mother doesn't agree, I said. She's made it very clear she wants me to stay away from your family. She doesn't get to decide that, Victoria said fiercely. I'm 19 years old. I can make my own decisions about who I want in my life. And I want to know my sister. Over the next hour, Victoria and I talked. I told her everything, about growing up with Dorothy, about finding the birth certificate, about confronting Patricia. Victoria told me about her life. Growing up wealthy but sometimes lonely. Feeling like she never quite lived up to Patricia's expectations, wondering if there were secrets in their family. I always felt like something was missing, Victoria said. Like there was something Mom wasn't telling us. Now I know what it was. You. Are you going to tell James? I asked. Victoria nodded. He deserves to know. But I won't tell our father. Not yet. That's Mom's secret to confess, if she ever finds the courage. We exchanged phone numbers and made plans to meet again. As I drove home, I felt a strange mix of emotions. I'd lost a mother, but I'd gained a sister. Maybe that was enough. Victoria and I began meeting regularly. She brought James to our third meeting. A 17-year-old who looked shocked to learn he had a half-sister but was genuinely happy to meet me. This is so weird, James said, staring at me. But also kind of cool. I always wanted an older sibling. The three of us formed an unlikely bond. We'd meet for coffee or lunch, carefully avoiding places Patricia might see us. Victoria and James were curious about my life, about Marcus, about Dorothy. So you actually get along with your biological father? Victoria asked. That's amazing. He's a good person, I said. He never knew about me, but once he did, he wanted to be involved. He's nothing like Patricia. Can we meet him? James asked. I want to meet our bio dad. I arranged for Marcus to visit. When he met Victoria and James, I watched his face carefully. He was meeting Patricia's other children, the ones she'd kept while giving me away. "You have your mother's eyes," Marcus told Victoria. To James he said, "And you have her smile." "You're not angry at our mom?" James asked. "For not telling you about Sonia?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "I was angry when I first found out, but anger doesn't change the past. I'm just grateful I have a relationship with Sonia now, even if it started 25 years late." Over the next few months, our unlikely family expanded. Marcus, me, Victoria, James, and Dorothy all spent time together. We were connected by Patricia's secrets, but united by our choice to know each other. Then Patricia found out. Victoria came to my apartment late one night, crying. "She knows," Victoria said. "Mom knows I've been seeing you. She found text messages on my phone. She's furious." "What did she say?" I asked. "She said I was betraying the family, that you were trying to destroy her marriage and I was helping. She said I had to choose her or you." "What did you tell her?" I asked, afraid of the answer. "I told her she didn't get to make that choice for me," Victoria said. "That you're my sister and I want you in my life." She didn't take it well. "Where are you staying tonight?" I asked. "I can't go home. She's so angry. Can I stay here?" "Of course." Over the next few days the situation escalated. Patricia called me, demanding I stay away from her children. "You've poisoned them against me," she said. "You've made me look like a villain." "I didn't have to make you look like anything," I replied. "I just told them the truth. You did that yourself 25 years ago when you gave me away." "I did what I had to do," Patricia shouted. "I was young and scared and trapped. And now Victoria and James know the truth about who you really are. Not the perfect society mother you pretend to be, but a woman who gave away her daughter and never looked back." "You're destroying my family," Patricia said, her voice breaking. "Your family?" I repeated. "What about my family? What about the family you destroyed when you gave me to strangers?" There was silence on the line. Then Patricia said something that surprised me. "You're right. I destroyed your family first, and now you're destroying mine. Maybe that's fair." "I'm not trying to destroy anything," I said, my anger deflating. "I just wanted to know where I came from. I wanted to know my mother, my siblings. Is that really so terrible?" "No," Patricia admitted quietly. "It's not terrible. It's human. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to be your mother after 25 years of not being your mother." "Maybe you can't be," I said. "Maybe too much time has passed. But you could acknowledge me. You could stop pretending I don't exist." Patricia was quiet for a long time. "I need to think about it. About what it would mean to tell Malcolm the truth. About how it would affect Victoria and James. They already know," I pointed out. "And they still love you even knowing what you did. Maybe Malcolm would too." "Maybe," Patricia said. "Or maybe it would destroy my marriage. I don't know if I'm brave enough to risk it." We ended the call without resolution. But something had shifted. Patricia was actually considering acknowledging me instead of just demanding I disappear. 2 weeks later I received a letter. It was from Patricia. "Dear Sonia, I've spent the past 25 years running from the truth of what I did. I've built a life based on lies and secrets, and it's starting to crumble. Victoria and James won't speak to me unless I acknowledge you. Malcolm has noticed the tension and is asking questions I can't answer much longer. I'm terrified of losing everything. But I'm starting to realize I lost something important 25 years ago when I gave you away. I lost my integrity. I lost the chance to know my firstborn daughter. I lost a piece of myself. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect us to have a relationship. But I want you to know that I'm going to tell Malcolm the truth. I'm going to acknowledge publicly that I have 3 children, not 2. It may cost me my marriage. It will certainly damage my reputation. But it's the right thing to do, even if it's 25 years too late. I'm sorry for everything. For giving you away, for rejecting you when you found me, for threatening you and trying to erase you. You deserved better. You deserved a mother who was brave enough to face consequences instead of hiding from them. I hope someday you can forgive me, though I have no right to ask. Patricia." I read the letter 3 times. Then I showed it to Dorothy. What do you think I should do? I asked. Dorothy smiled gently. What do you want to do? I want to accept her apology, I said. I want to give her a chance to be part of my life, even if it's complicated. Is that stupid? It's not stupid, Dorothy said. It's generous. More generous than she deserves, maybe. But generosity is a beautiful thing. 6 months later, I attended a family dinner at Patricia's house. Malcolm now knew the truth. Patricia had confessed everything, and while he'd been shocked and hurt, he'd chosen to stay with her. Victoria and James were there, along with Marcus, who Patricia had apologized to for keeping me secret all those years. Dorothy was there too, seated beside Patricia, the two women who'd raised me in their different ways. It was awkward and imperfect. Patricia and I would never have a traditional mother-daughter relationship. Too much time had passed, too much hurt had occurred. But we were trying. We were acknowledging each other. We were family in our own complicated way. As I looked around the table at this unlikely group, the mother who gave me away, the mother who raised me, the father who never knew I existed, the siblings I'd only recently met, I realized something. Family wasn't always about blood. It wasn't always about who raised you. Sometimes family was about who chose to show up even when it was hard, even when they'd failed you before. Patricia had failed me as a mother, but she was trying now. That had to count for something. And I had Dorothy, who'd loved me without obligation. Marcus, who'd embraced fatherhood 25 years late. Victoria and James, who'd chosen to know me despite the complications. I'd spent months obsessed with the woman who wasn't my mother, who wasn't even my family by blood. But in losing the perfect mother I'd imagined, I'd found something else. A complicated, messy, imperfect family that was mine. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.